So here's a side-by-side comparison. You'll see that the OEM one has spread out multi-pattern. It's not every other one is white, black. So that's the differences there, but from a distance, it's pretty close. I think it's pretty good for the price I paid. Go ahead and undo this black plastic piece. You do not need to mess with the power. You're going to peek around the seat there underneath and see the clips that need to be pushed out. Be extra careful not to break these because these retain the power trim into place. And you're going to notice a black plastic piece that kind of fits over the end of the metal. It's going to unclip like this. And then you're going to want to remove 2 straps from the back of the seat. They just buckle up to a metal rod. Once the 2 straps are removed, you're going to flip that back cover up and you're going to see a Phillips head screw. You're going to want to remove this with a Phillips screwdriver. All right, next step is to get a flathead screwdriver, and you're going to see some tabs that you need to depress on these clips. Make sure not to break these. These are what hold the power trim button panel in place. All right, and next you're going to notice a Phillips head screw at the top. You're going to want to remove this. All right, next we'll have a portion of the cover that will be attached still. It's the tilt mechanism of the seat. Pry that off the best you can without breaking it. You could use a flathead screwdriver or a pick. You'll see another black plastic retaining clip right here that you're going to unbuckle. All right, now you're going to pop over to the other side. You're going to see a piece of fabric and a elastic strap that would have went over the buckle latch. And sorry, they were already removed, but there's also a plastic bracket that will be clipped down to a metal runner along that seat chair frame. This black clip was actually already detached, but when I reinstall the seat, you're going to see how I actually get to that buckle. Here's another buckle on the back of the chair. You're just going to unclip this. And now basically the foam and the fabric are all detached from the seat. So you can push this fabric back up in here, but just so it doesn't catch on the metal, technically you should just be able to pull it right out. All right, and the battle wasn't done yet. I still had a black plastic push-on clip that I did not notice, so I grabbed a set of side cuts, and without squeezing real hard, I was able to pry that out. And voila, the seat cushion comes out. Don't get discouraged. The next part's going to be a little tedious, but trust me, you can do it. You just need patience. Right now, I'm removing this bottom strap here, and this is when I find out that there are metal rings holding this whole seat in place. Alright, so now I'm trying to wrap my head around on why these are here. I didn't notice it on the new seat cover that there was going to be holes to where those rings go in. So I had to figure out how I was going to do that, and turns out I had to make my own holes. But here I'm removing the fabric. I found it easiest just to cut the old seat cover off. It exposes those metal rings, and you want to be real careful not to rip these rings out because these ring systems are held in by another metal wire with like a rubber coating around it, and if you pull on those rings, it will rip that wire out of the foam that was formed at the factory. So you do not want to rip those out or you will ruin this foam. You will be trying to find another foam cushion. So I had some areas where the wire was kind of pulling out of the seat cushion, and I needed to repair that so that it wouldn't get worse. And I kind of noticed that right there when I was pulling that out. It might have been my fault, or it might have been from just wear and tear on the seat, but you'll see how I repair that here in a little bit. Right now I'm just marking where these rings are going to fall before I remove them. That way I can punch holes. And I use a Sharpie and then come back with a Harbor Freight pick and just punch little holes to where I can feed those rings back through. So right here, I'm start removing these rings. I found it best to get a pair of pliers and needle nose and work those rings to form a gap. And then I have a set of curved needle nose that really help feed that out. You're going to see me applying this clear Gorilla Glue to the ripped areas of this foam. Guys, this stuff worked wonders. It created a nice tight bond. All right, we're going to get this cover back on. There's going to be a strap that goes over the bottom. Just feeding this onto the foam. All right, we're going to work from either the left or the right side. It does not matter, guys. Just be mindful when you make that cross over to the left or right side that you're going to take care of the rings, let's call it horizontally, going in the middle of that seat cushion. That way you're not attached both ends and then you're trying to get that middle somehow, because it would be dang near impossible. So just be mindful of that. So here I'm just hooking these rings through and running them through the holes. You'll find what works best for you. Pair of needle nose, the curved needle nose I use, and then I have some straight ones as well that I go back and forth throughout this video. So whatever works best. Get those rings through, and then you're going to take, I have a pair of lineman pliers that are very firm, have an awesome grip. You're going to want something that's going to really hold that while you're trying to bend it back, because you're going to be putting some good force to that metal hook. And pay attention throughout this video where I'm putting this cover back on. You'll notice me pry apart the ring and get it set up to where basically the two ends are across from each other, because when you uncrimp those rings, they're side by side, so you're just moving them, separating them, and then you're kind of spinning it out of that wire to get it off. But when you put the ring back in, just adjust that metal ring to where the ends are pointing directly at each other, and then open it up to where there's enough gap to feed it through. And then when you're crimping it back down, this is where the lineman pliers come in really handy, because they're nice, tight, firm. They have good grip. And once you get a hold of that metal ring, it just the sheer force of you closing it, that ring either goes left or right of the other one, and they just kind of curve over real nice, and then you can spin it and keep crimping it down more and more. That's what I found worked best. Some of you guys might have a better way of doing it, but we're getting it done, or getting it back on, and getting this problem out of the way. And you might be wondering why even replace this cover. Guys, there was actually, the previous owner had a cigarette burn that went all the way through the fabric, and they tried to repair it and patch it, and it was just bugging me, so this was my fix. And I paid around $20 for this on eBay. If you do a quick search for your year and model, you will find this cover on eBay. There's several sellers of this cover. I didn't find any variations of this cover. I looked around to see if I could match it closer to the OEM, because you could tell from the start of the video it went white, black on the new cover. On the old cover, it was more spread out. The dots were mixed up pretty good, like it might go 3 blacks and then a white dot. So there's definitely some difference there, but I think your eyes and your mind play tricks on you when you're looking at it. You're not really drawn to that seat bottom, other than it just being a lighter shade because it's newer, and the seat back has obviously been used and it's got some dirt on it. So that's really the variation I saw between the two. The pattern itself is not really noticeable. I looked for an OEM cover, but had no luck finding one. So I don't know if they're even out there. Some of you guys might chime in to let me know if they are. I was just thrilled to get this cigarette burn taken care of, but it is not a perfect match. So if you think that'll bug you, I wouldn't recommend this cover. I would try to seek out at a junkyard for a possible donor truck to get that OEM cover, or research it a little bit more online. Again, I didn't go into great depth researching this. This is just what I was finding on eBay and, say, Amazon. So I didn't look at the Mopar site to see if they had them in stock. All right, I'm just buttoning this up. I'm getting the last ring on, and you're gonna notice some creases on top. I'm hoping those will work out. This cover was vacuum sealed to save on shipping cost. You also notice when we get that foam back on that the fabric itself does not stretch all the way over the bottom of that foam in the corners, but luckily it's not noticeable. That black plastic trim that has the power tilt will actually cover that, and that front black plastic clip's actually going to pull it down a little more as well. So we're just going to get that cushion back in the frame. We're going to feed that black clip back through the back here. You'll see me fold it around and lock it into place. And we're going to feed that fabric over the buckle latch, and then you'll see the elastic band. We're going to feed that over as well. And next is going to be that right black plastic clip that you guys didn't see me remove because it was already undone. I'm going to show you how to get to that. You'll want to come from the back and feed your hand up through the bars. There's 2 different ways of doing this, but find out which one works best for you. All right, and the front cushion plastic clip is a major design flaw on these guys. When you sit on the seat or apply pressure, the clip just comes undone like so. So my fix was to put pre-drilled 2 holes and put 2 screws on either side. That kept it in nicely. Major design flaw on this though. I'm going to be showing you the OEM one here in a bit, how it latched way better. Here it is. All right, we're going to get this black power trim back on. You'll see a hole here in the fabric that the Phillips will be running through. I did have to drill this piece out here. It was pretty easy. Just pops in. There was no pre-drilled hole. This cover pops on pretty easy. Again, you'll have that piece on the end there that needs to hook around the metal frame. And that actually snapped real nice. Didn't have any issues there, so. And then we're going to be ready to install that Phillips head screw. Here's that clip on the front side of the frame that you're just going to want to make sure that snaps on, and then this goes in real easy. Just make sure the power works. Then you're going to install this Phillips back on the back before you flip down the cover and hook the 2 straps back up. And what's nice about this whole install, you don't have to unplug anything. You don't have to unhook the battery because of the airbag or anything like that. You're not removing any wires. And here you can see the final install. You can see the color variation. Keep in mind this truck's a work truck for me, so there's some dirt on the seat. So you're going to see a noticeable color difference there from the new versus old. And hopefully seeing these side by side, it'll help you decide if it's worth changing the cover out or keep what you got, or try to find an OEM one at a junkyard or possibly even on a Mopar site. Hey, and thanks for watching. Let me know what you think.